and I've always been involved. And Kashmir was the hub of movies. We had a small period where things didn't work out well, but then things were back, and then we had Rockstar, Jab Tak Hai Jaan, Haider, Bajrangi Bhaijaan, Highway, so many uncountable. I think more than 50 movies that I have also been involved in, and big, small, and slowly, that sense of filmmaking I took from my experiences, started my own thing, and now I'm into full-fledged filmmaking, line production, short films, music videos. We make videos for Z Music, for Tips, for T Series. We're doing something for Sony BNG now. We worked for Monte Carlo. So the idea is, I'm saying all these things just to tell you, that I'm here to share my experience, because I've worked at a certain level where one learns a lot, and that is the idea. The whole idea of this workshop, we could have called it a lecture, we could have called it a class, but we call it a workshop because we intend to give you practical knowledge as well. So that was the introduction. And the topics that we'll be studying today, starting from how filmmaking is different from other medium, how film is the visual medium to tell stories, premise and themes of films, that comes into the element of writing, screenwriting, narration, how to create interesting characters. I think something that's very important for any writer. How to use camera for storytelling, types of shots, principles of composition. All arts have something basic, a basic heart to all arts, and that is the composition. And we'll be talking about that as well. We'll be talking about types of camera lenses and movements as well. So I've tried to mix up the topics today. Certain topics are, theoretical, philosophical, and certain topics are very, very, applied, very technical, and very industrial. And as the first slide says, that we can define filmmaking in so many ways, but I like to talk about filmmaking in only the ways that we can use it, in only the ways that it can be used to send out different kind of expressions. We can talk about social expressions through our films. We can talk about political expressions, scientific expressions, fictitious expressions, social expressions, expressions regarding to humanity, expressions regarding to the world around us, to the universe around us. And all of that together makes filmmaking a medium of expression using moving pictures. But
But
also
sorry
we
to
have to
interrupt.
understand that, yes, please. Any questions? Yeah.
Yeah, regarding the screen, somehow I couldn't able to see the full screen view of the presentation. Could you
At,
help me
at
out?
this time also, you're not able to see the full view.
Like in the first line, the how filmmaking is different. I couldn't. That is blurred out actually in my screen. Is it the same for everyone or how it
This
is?
slide.
Yeah, this slide I can see, but in the next slide I couldn't see the
Okay,
headings.
ma'am, can you see the slide?
I can see the slide.
Okay, the heading is somewhat covered actually. I couldn't able to see the.
Okay, it says how filmmaking is different from other media,
Fine, fine. Okay, thank you.
right? So, if you are an artist, can you use your art for research and documenting? I think the best you can do is make diagrams or something. If you're a sculptor, if you're a singer, if you're a dancer, can we use our, perhaps not to a good effect? So that is the idea. Number one, we have to understand the function of filmmaking other than expressing our expression, expressing our ideas through visual medium. Other than that, filmmaking is a great medium of research and documenting. Science has reached so far, technology has reached so far only with the help of research and documenting using filmmaking. We have gone to the jungles, we have gone to the universe, gone under the sea, and we have used our equipments to know about our nature so that we can, advance. And we have the, avenues for people who want to become researchers and documentary filmmakers. We have stuff like BBC Earth, National Geographic, we have Discovery Channel. In India, we have the UGC. We have each government, each state has its own, wing for research and document for the state missionary as well, and you can be employed in that as well. Also, filmmaking, of course, is a great medium of spreading awareness. If you want to talk about anything, you want to talk about the recent pandemic, you want to talk about, any particular thing, a social evil, you want to talk about dowry, you want to talk about, being clean, you want to talk about being hygienic, all of these things, whatever you want to talk about, whatever you want to send a message across, because today, the medium of in the digital world, in the cyber world rather, uh, the visual medium is something that everybody is exposed to. So if you want to spread awareness regarding anything at all, filmmaking is considered a great medium for that. Yes, people did try to aware people through their music, through their paintings as well, but the impact is not as much as the mix of visual and sound together gives. So that is why it's a great medium of spreading awareness, and you can see great, big actors being paid by the government to, aware people. You have Akshay Kumar or Amitabh Bachchan or so many people, who come every day on a tele screens, and they talk about, so many things that they want people to be aware about. So why I'm talking this is because when somebody thinks they want to be a filmmaker, they only think of the fourth kind. Most of us think that filmmaking is a medium of entertainment only. But I talk about the other things because, you can become a wildlife photographer. You can become a documentary maker for the government or any private organization, or even, when they were doing the Delhi Metro, there was this guy who was paid in crores to just visually shoot, to just document how they were going to, build the metro, and how the flyovers were made, how the tunnels were made, how the underground stations were made. So somebody was, taking a video of all of that, and that is also filmmaking at its best. And they were paid a huge amount. So we are talking about all these things because most of us focus on the entertainment part, focus on the Netflix, Amazon, cinema part. But of course, yes, filmmaking has other functions as well, and can be great contributions to the society as well. So, of course, filmmaking as a medium of entertainment, we have films, feature films, we have short films, we have web series, we have dramas, we have teleseries, we have so many different kind of films that are used for entertainment, and so many genres, so many themes, and more or less focus is on such kind of movies because they are the highest form of filmmaking. They take the highest amount of energy and all the procedures and stuff. All the others are easy technically, but feature films are very tough. You should know the aspect ratios. You have to know the resolutions and all the technical stuff as well. Documentaries, even if you shoot in raw and you don't even color them, that's what I do. I've shot just recently I shot a documentary and I gave it in raw, and it looks good like that. It looks real like that. So so many things.
Once you could tell me what is so feature
Yes.
film? Could you give
Okay,
some
so
more insight?
the Oscar, the Academy, the Hollywood Academy of movie making, they consider any movie that is about 2 hours. So the classification is on the basis of timing. A
Okay.
short film is anything under 40 minutes,
Okay.
and feature film is anything up to from 2 hours up to 5 hours. And if it becomes more than 5 hours and it starts having two or three breaks, then it is called a series. Make
Okay.
sense?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So when we do talk about an entertainment, so we have all these things, but also filmmaking. Again, you have not limited to entertainment. You can enter the field of marketing and advertising as well. A lot of money to be learned. And why do I talk about all these five things? Because myself, I have not limited myself to any one, method of filmmaking. I have tried all filmmakings. I've done boring documentaries. I have done romantic, Bollywood mainstream songs. I've done mainstream movies. I've done art movies as well. I've done ad films as well. I've done ad shoots as well. Recently, as I said, Monte Carlo. That was my first ad shoot. I don't limit myself. I'm open to new things, and that's how I wish and I hope that I will be learning. And that is the idea. So it's kind of a request. It's kind of a a friendly suggestion that always keep yourself open. Don't think that you're only good at B rolls, or you're only good at vlogging, or you're only good at short films. Be sure that if you push yourself good well enough, you will be able to create any kind of films or any kind of art that you put yourself to. Don't limit yourself or stereotype yourself into a container. And for that, for trying to make any kind of a film, I think we need to understand what filmmaking is made up of. What are the components of filmmaking? And the five components that I will be talking about, some books say six components, some say eight, some say three. I believe there are five components in 99.9% films and four components in 100% films. The fifth component being sound. Certain movies have sound, certain movies do not have sound. But today In today's time, most movies, more than 90% movies, have sound. And when we do talk about the five elements, now when we say five components or elements of filmmaking, it means what all the things are necessary, five major things under which all the other people or the cast and crew fit in. So we have the first element, and that is the element of narration. All films will have a narration of some kind. And narration means the genre, the theme, the story, the characters, your acting, the actors, the dialogues, the plot lines, the plot graph, the plot engine, the log line, the themes, the outline, all of that together is the narrative of your film, whatever you're trying to show. And the screenwriter, the actors, the script writers, the dialogue writers, all of these guys come under the element, the first element of narration. Then we have the second element, and this is the element of cinematography. Simply, it means the way the story, the narrative that we have just discussed, the way it is visualized and shot through a camera using digital technology these days. Earlier, we had films and we had to develop them in silver halide, but we don't talk about that anymore. So, cinematography is the art of capturing the narration through cameras, and which people would be under this. So we have the director of photography, the cinematographer, the cameraman. We have the key grip, the guys who run all the cranes, the rails, the steady cam, flow cam, fly cam, osmos, all the camera equipments, the sliders, and all the lighting people. All of those guys are under cinematography, and director also falls under this as well. Of course, the director's role is pan components, but mainly we find the director involved with the cinematography. He of course sits with the cinematographer to tell him and to bridge the gap between the cameraman and the actor, so he looks at both the people. And then we have the third most important element in any film, rather in any storytelling. We can't tell stories without things. We need things to tell stories. If a story doesn't have a gun, you can't shoot anybody. If a story doesn't have a car, you can't have a chase scene. So the third element, and it is a French term because filmmaking developed in France in 1895. We had the Lumiere brothers who showcased 10 movies, and they're considered. So that's why a lot of filmmaking terminologies are from France. They're French terms. And mise en scene means all the props, all the things, all the costumes. Apart from the cinematography, apart from the narration, everything else comes under mise en scene. And the most important people that come under this narration, the art director, the creative director, the set designer, the makeup guy, the VFX guy as well. All these guys come under the mise en scene, all the props, the background, the set, the car, everything comes under this element. Whether you are doing short films, any film, you always have these kind of things. Even Bhuvan Bam, he does just wines or reels, but he has a muffler or he'll have a specs or something like that, and that is a prop, an object, and it is an element, and that's why he did well, because he added all these things to a simple vlog as well. And then the fourth easy thing is the editing. Editing is that process. It is a digital process again today, done on a software where we fix a timeline of scenes. We put together scenes on a particular timing as the screenplay demands, and we add transitions between each shot to glue the film together. Then we do the color grading. We do the credit scene, post credit scene, start credit scene, put the logos of all the production houses, add subtitles if required, and also fix the final mix of the sound to the film as well. And then we have the final element of filmmaking, that is sound. And sound includes techniques like Foleying, dubbing, boom recording, ambient recording, and background score. Foleying means creating real world sounds artificially. Dubbing means recording on-set dialogues, recording them in a studio. Boom recording means recording dialogues on set. Ambient recording means recording background noises on set. And background score means adding, music to your film to add richness, to add, emotions, to add a sense of fear in horror movies, to add a sense of comedy in comic films, and It adds, it is a sense of art. It is a very arty thing, not so technical. All background scores, whether Marvel, whether anything, nobody's playing music in our real lives, but films have that for a dramatic and a cinematic effect. So I hope it was clear. Any questions in this slide? All play. You guys can write in the chat or ask me as well. So any questions, guys? All clear? Easy? Yes?
Yes,
Make
sir.
sense?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. And then we have, this slide. It says film as a
I have a
visual
question,
medium
Faisal.
to tell stories. Now, this is where
Hello.
we understand the difference
Hello.
between an author and a screenwriter. See,
Hello.
yes, please. Yes. Any
Hi.
questions? Yeah. Yes,
In the
Santosh?
last slide, yeah, it is mentioned that editing, the sound is coming after the editing. Is it correct? Like
After, in the sense, they're all together. They're all as important.
okay.
If your film has dialogues, you don't give it sound. And if your film is not edited, both are important. It's nothing without it. It's like talking, is the brain important or the heart? Or the kidney or the lungs. I think they're all important, right?
Yeah.
So it's
So
not
what is
like
room
what
recording?
it's not in preference. It is not in preference. But as a filmmaker, personally, I feel, we'll be talking about that. Each element adds something. And we'll be just talking about that, what each element adds. And as a filmmaker, you have to be aware what your screenplay requires and which element is going to give that. And we can see the last, Santosh, I want you to read the last. That is the answer to your question. Can you read the last point yourself? That is
Camera
the answer.
movements, camera movements and angles carry emotions,
So number
costumes carry
one, so what does cinematography carry? Emotions. Yes. What do costumes carry?
themes and give
And
character information.
correct. Number three, what does sound do?
Adds intensity,
Correct. And what does editing do?
curiosity,
And what do locations give us?
the cinematic effect.
And you
So the
tell me,
music
what is
comes at
more
the top
important? Is
itself.
intensity important? Is curiosity important? Is giving character information important? I think all of them are important together, right?
Okay.
Wonderful. So, see, the basic thing is that when an author writes, his book is his medium of expression. The book is sold to the market and his audience is developed on his book. But when a screenplay writer or a screenwriter writes a film on a document, on a paper, does anybody read that screenplay apart from the makers? Is the screenplay sold to the market? Of course not.
Yes.
Yes, Santosh? What do you think?
Yes, correct. That's correct.
Nobody sells the screenplay. That means the screenplay is not the expression of the screenwriter. The expression of the screenwriter is the film in the end, because the audience is watching the film. Nobody is reading his screenplay.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that is the difference between a script and a screenplay, an author and a screenwriter. The author has to write beautifully. He has to describe scenes and use wonderful words. Plethora of vocabulary he needs to have. But a screenwriter has to write clear, without confusion, use normal words. So that, see, I always say, that's how you make the difference. When 10 people read one book, they will get 10 different ideas from the same book. They will imagine the dragon in 10 different ways. They will imagine Harry Potter 10 different ways. They will imagine Game of Thrones, Arya Stark 10 different ways. Somebody will think she's chubby. Somebody will think she has a long face. Whatever is described, and their imagination will start running. But the thing is that from a book, 10 people will think 10 things from a script. But when 10 people are supposed to read a screenplay, all the 10 people should get the same idea. That is how the screenplay has to be written. There should be no confusion. Make sense, Arman, Santosh? These are the the basic things that a lot of people don't talk about. Yes, Arman?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah, of course.
So you have to write a screenplay in a way, and it is usually done in a way that it is in points. It's not like a book. It carries instructions for the actor. It carries instructions for the director. It carries instruction for the editor as well. How to put in the transitions in a screenplay. The first thing that you write in a screenplay is the transition. How you are transiting to this scene. Fade in, fade out, black dip, white dip, cross fade, ripple fade. I don't know, masking fade. It's your wish how you are entering. But the screenwriter, usually at good levels, they even think of the editing transitions. That's how they're able to achieve these wonderful movies that we see. So I hope it makes sense. Yes, Santosh.
Yes.
And that is why I say that a screenwriter should have a basic understanding of the elements of filmmaking and all the processes. Screenwriters should have the ability to think visually. See, the basic thing is I don't have to think that there is a man who is a very good son. I have to imagine this statement in a visual. So I have to say, there is a man who is hurt in his leg, but he is still carrying out any work that has been given by his parent. Now here I'm thinking visually. I'm giving him I'm giving him some injury so that I can showcase that he's a good son. Even though he has the injury, he is still doing good with his parents. So that is called thinking visually. You think visually. You have to add a visual aspect. You can't think theoretically. There's a good guy and he's living in a good house. You don't think like that. You have to think visually. You have to imagine. You have to say that the house is a big house in a good neighborhood. You have to name the neighborhood. And then people will start imagining. And anybody who has been there will imagine it much really. Or if you talk about, for example, you think, there's a dream sequence. Taj Mahal is in the background. Now you start thinking visually. You don't say simply, there's a beautiful location. You don't say that. You talk specifically. You think visually. And also, a screenwriter should be aware of all the industry standard terms and procedures. Screenwriters should be updated with all the latest technological advancements in the film industry, as well as have knowledge of basic camera movements and principles. Screenwriters should be very good at keenly observing all that happens around them so that they are continuously inspired. This is the answer to the question somebody asked in the beginning. I'm confused, I want to write. And that is the thing. The key to a good artist, any kind of an artist, is that he should know where to get inspired from. And he should know how all the components of filmmaking, come together to add emotions to the process of storytelling. And we read the final one. We know that camera movements and angles, they carry emotions. Costumes, they carry themes and character information. If your character is wearing Ed Hardy, he's a rich guy. If he's wearing not so good clothes, everybody knows he's a poor guy. That's how you are even establishing certain things. You don't even have to write. The screenwriter only has to describe the clothes, and you get to know the sociology, psychology, the physiology of your characters. And that's how important, costumes are. Mise en scene, art direction, the objects. I've used the word costume, but you can even take in sense of any object. How about, what if Batman's car was pink? Would it change anything? I think it would. What if Spider-Man had a tail? Would that change something? And that is why the art department is so important. It breathes life. It is the soul to the body of your screenplay, and hence very important. And sound similarly adds intensity. Horror is nothing without sound, I always say. Nothing without camera movement and sound. Even if there is no story to horror, but even if it is shot well, people like it because they get the feeling. So that is the idea. You have to see as a filmmaker how much of your expression is being expressed through the screenplay, how much of your expression is being expressed through the camera, expressed through the actors, expressed through the costumes. That is the challenge. That is the art. That is the talent that a filmmaker has to carry. And then when we do talk about writing, when we do talk about storytelling, these 5 points are simple. If you can understand these 5 points, I think we are done. The first thing that a filmmaker needs to know, he needs to know what is the meaning of logline. Can anybody tell me what logline means? Just quickly, guys, we have only now 5-10 minutes left. So much to do, but we had lesser time.
Hello.
Yes.
How to give subtextual message to audience, and how to grow my creativity skills. Give
To
me
audience.
Yes.
Okay. Not actually. So a logline is a single sentence.
My question is, I'm not saying that. How to give subtextual
sorry.
messages?
How to give
Subtextual messages.
Wonderful. Yes, will be just there. I think the third point is there, right? Building a treatment. How to talk about subtext. Let's see, we'll reach there. Make sense?
Yes. And,
okay. Yeah. Yes. Yes, please. Any more questions?
Not at all. That's only one question.
Correct. So we need to have this quick activity. I want all of you to be very active with me. So the idea is that before you start writing, before you think of your characters, your story, anything, you have to create something called as a log line. And this is the only one thing that is not allowed to change. You can change anything during the process of filmmaking. You can change your actors, change your dialogues, change your locations, make changes to the plot graph, but there's only one thing that never changes, and that is called the log line. Log line is a single sentence that answers the question, what is my story about? Producers, directors, big production houses don't have time to listen to your 500-page long story. Sir, wait for it. There is a wonderful scene at the 300th page. He doesn't have time for that. First, he says the first question you will ever receive whenever you go to tell somebody your story. The first question is, tell me your story in one sentence. In one line, tell me your whole story. And that one line should be so interesting that I should, give you enough money to make the whole story. And that is called the art of writing log lines. And whenever we submit our pitch, our screenplay, or the bounded script, as it is called, whenever we submit it to the producers or a production house or to Netflix or to, or even if you want to, register it, the first thing that it should carry on the first page is only a single sentence, and that is the log line of the story. Not even the synopsis, not even the gist. It is called the log line. Now, I'm going to say the log line of a movie, and you have to guess which movie I'm talking about. This is the activity. This is where we learn how to create log lines, how to say complicated stories in single sentence. And I'll be telling you the log line of Inception. I'll be telling you the log line of Tenet in single sentences. Probably 6-hour-long, 2-part movie, not even half a sentence. But
Please
I'll
give
tell
me
you
some
how it is
example
done.
of.
Yes,
Uh,
Pawan.
Please explain some. Give some example with.
Yes, I'll tell you. First example. A policeman recruits 2 thieves to take revenge on a dacoit who has murdered his family.
Okay. Okay.
A policeman takes help of 2 thieves to take revenge on a dacoit, on a daku who has murdered the family of the policeman. This is the most simple log line in the world, the most renowned Hindi film in the world.
Is it Sole, sir?
Yes, it is Sholay.
Yes.
Thakur takes help of Jay and Viru. Thakur is a policeman. Jay and Viru are criminals. They are 2 thieves. And Gabbar is a dacoit. And Thakur takes help of these 2 thieves to take revenge on Gabbar because Gabbar has killed Thakur's
Yes.
family.
Yes. Sholay.
If somebody has
Sholay.
not seen Sholay, that is the log line of Sholay. Now, 3 hours. 3 hours of story in one sentence. There is no Basanti. Basanti is out. We're not talking about Basanti. We're not talking about anybody else. We're not talking about other people. We are just seeing what are the important actions, what are the important plot points, and that forms the log line. Now, something like Inception. The CIA weaponizes dreams to complete certain missions. Now, this sort of a log line is a general log line. We have not put any character in it, but we can put a character in it as well. And we can turn it around as well. We can use this log line as well. So we can say that a CIA agent fights his own demons while using dreams to complete missions. Now that is the log line of Inception. And we're talking about Leonardo's character. He's the main guy. Now something like Tenet.
But this is not a CIA now.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, the government agency, whatever they are working for. Just an example.
Okay.
They don't say what he is working for, but subtextually we know he's CIA. That is the idea. Same goes for Tenet. The government finds a dimension where time runs in reverse and uses that dimension to complete certain missions. Now, how easy was that? Matrix, I say Matrix in 1 second. Machines have taken over, humans are trying to fight back. That is the logline of Matrix. Now, that is how you tell your story in one line. What is it about, sir? For example, I have a story in my mind. It is about a person who has loose motions. Simple. Now the director knows that I need a room, I need a bathroom, and I need a lot of brown paste. That's it. So that's how your log line gives ideas. That's how you talk about even shitty ideas in a good manner. And that is the art of filmmaking. That is the art of storytelling. Santosh, makes sense?
Yes, yes.
So
Of course.
the log line is not allowed to change. Once the log line has been done, then you build your premise or your outline on it. You start adding characters, you start giving it a plot graph, character motivations, stakes, events, situations, locations. Then you start giving it a shape. Once it has a shape, you build treatment, which means you put art into it. What does that mean? You give it a genre. Now, for me, Sholay can be adventure, it can be action, it can be drama. It is your wish how you shoot a particular log line. The log line of Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones can be shot in a way that it could be horror as well. And that is the idea. It's your wish what genre you give to your log line, what treatment you give, what themes you add. Bahubali is about, rise, fall, and rise, but it talks about bravery. Now, that is a theme. It talks about sacrifice. That is a theme. It talks about jealousy, anger. It talks about conspiracy. These are all themes. And you put your treatment, you add themes to your log line, to your outline, to your genres. And that is where you also add context, like historical context, political context. There are certain movies, that are in a particular time frame. For example, we had the Padmavat. It was in the time of Alauddin Khilji. Now the context is of that historical period. Now that is a context. You can add a context. Or for example, in the movie Kahani, we have the context of Durga Puja going on. Now the story is going on when Durga Puja is going on. Now that's the context as well. That's how you add richness to your story. And when we do talk about subtext, I wish I had a lot of time, but we do not have a lot of time. And that is the idea. That is why Sakshi is here from BitClass side to talk about wonderful surprises for all of you. I am not happy that we were not able to complete all these slides, but just to give you guys an idea, we were supposed to talk about all these things, but since we took a lot of time, slow, people joined in very slow. We started 20 minutes late. But all these things I'm just showing you beforehand because all these things I talk about in my advanced course about which Sakshi is going to talk about. And that is the wonderful surprise. And they have good offers today as well. We are in a festive time. So hopefully you guys might like it, and be sure that these are the things that I do talk about. And any questions later on, please feel free to ask. You can write in the chat as well. But sadly, we have to conclude, and I have to give the last final 5 minutes to Sakshi to speak to all of you on behalf of the bit class. And hope you guys enjoyed. I know we just could go through 2-3 slides, but hopefully in the master class, when you guys decide to join, you'll understand that filmmaking, there's so much to talk about step by step. Santosh, Pavan, Arman, I hope, you guys had a good time. I think we have joined by other people as well, Zahir as well. Thank you so much. So off to you, Sakshi. I hope it was informative. I tried my best, and I'll take your questions as well. You can write them in the chat. Thank you so much.
So I see this session has been a great session. Yes, you guys give me a yes, no.